Now, from the Action 4 studios, Sports Director Clay Williams and Joe Bowling bring you the best in Valley High School football from the week past and for the week ahead. Highlights, analysis, and predictions from all across the Valley. It's time for Sunday Sports Extra.
Hello and welcome to Sunday Sports Extra. I'm Action 4 Sports Director Clay Williams. With me, as usual, Action 4 Sports Reporter Joe Bowling, and our special guest here is Todd Oredinker from The Monitor. Thanks so much for joining us, Todd.
Thanks for having me, Clay.
All right, Week 7 is in the books. Week 8 is coming up, but let's talk about the big games that we just had. That includes the biggest game of the year so far. Donna, Sharyland, both teams 6-0. The winner would clinch a playoff spot and, of course, have that district title in their pocket and ready to go. Let's take you to the highlights in this one. It was a shootout in the first half. Rattlers quarterback Trace Barrera hit his favorite target, Estefan Castillo, spin out of a tackle, took it 59 yards down to the 1. Sharyland went up 7-0 on the very next play, and then more from Barrera to Castillo. Screen pass. Estefan got to carry it in on his own. 20-yard TD made it 14-7 Sharyland. But back came Donna with their potent running attack. Aldo Silva, 20-yard touchdown, and we were tied. But at the end, it was the Rattlers with a big win, 48-28. And afterwards, Estefan Castillo talked about his big plays.
Coaches just had a game plan, and we just executed it.
By far your biggest game ever?
I want to say Connor Mees is the biggest game ever. This one just comes and it just came.
So what do the Sharyland Rattlers do now? Put this game away and go on?
Yes, sir. We can move on to the next team, which will be the Palm Beach Lobos.
So there you have it. Sharyland now 7-0, basically has a playoff spot clinched. They've got first place in that district. Todd, talk about what you saw from that game. How good is this Sharyland offense, and why is everybody having such a tough time stopping it?
It's probably as good as anything we've seen in the Valley in the last handful of years. They spread them out 5 wide, sometimes 4. I mean, they'll bring Cesar Valdez in the backfield sometimes, or sometimes spread them out, and they just move the football like there's nothing. I mean, it's just easy. 3-4 yards at a time if they have to, 15 yards at a time if they have to, 30 yards if they have to. I've never seen anybody really stop them except for that second quarter against Edinburgh and Economides a couple weeks ago, but then they picked it up in the second half and won that game, so they just can do it all.
Your thoughts on it, Joe? I mean, it was a big game for Sharyland.
Well, I'm a believer in the Sharyland offense, but what I saw first and foremost, Clay, was the protection. You know, they spread that so wide with all those receivers. You think, well, they may be able to get to him. Trace Barrera was standing there for seconds on end, many seconds, with opportunities galore to scan field, player. Oh, pass here. Protection is the key to what is clicking on that offense right now.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what might await Sharyland. It's not too early to start thinking about the playoffs. After all, the Rattlers have clinched a playoff berth. Donna not very far behind. When we talk about District 29-5A, let's take a look at some of the graphics in that one. Full screen on that. 29-5A, you see Laredo United, which just lost to Eagle Pass, so they are right now in 4th. Del Rio is in 1st. Alexander is in 2nd. Some combination of these 4 teams is probably going to make the playoffs, and when they do, it's going to be Alexander and United taking on Donna and Sharyland. And when we look ahead to that, what do we think, Todd? Because it looks like that district is a little down this year.
It absolutely is, and Sharyland already beat Laredo Alexander this year in non-district play. Laredo United is missing its quarterback, and they just lost the Eagle Pass. So Laredo United and Laredo Alexander, not exactly the greatest years for the two of them. Don and Sharyland, no matter who, I mean, some combination is going to play them. So it's looking pretty good for those 2 teams by district-wise right now.
But the one thing about those Laredo teams and Eagle Pass and Del Rio is they do play San Antonio teams in the pre-district, Joe, so they do get a look at some pretty good teams before they get into 29-5A action.
Well, and traditionally they've played well against those spread offense style teams, which Sharyland is going to bring to the table. And so, you know, a lot of times the Laredo teams are saying, bring on the shootout, and then they look at that Economides game and say, hey, you can be scored upon, and so, you know, yeah, they may be down, but don't say it's an easy win.
Speaking of Economides, let's talk about their game last night. It was basically a play-in game against Juarez-Lincoln. Juarez-Lincoln looked good early, but Economides comes back towards the second half. Bubba Villarreal had some big runs in the second half, and this one down to the 1, and he would end up taking it in. Economides comes back to beat Juarez Juarez-Lincoln last night, and that running game looks to be all that was advertised. So now the 35A standings look like this, with Sharyland, Donna, Edinburgh North, and then Economides with basically that game-and-a-half lead on Juarez-Lincoln. Edinburgh North now basically clinched. Can they get ahead of Donna? Todd, Economides, do they have that 4th spot wrapped up? How do you see everything going behind Sharyland as we go into the final 3 weeks of the season?
Well, no one's I don't think anybody's clinched 100,000% officially quite yet. I think Sharyland still has to play Palmview, so there's still some weird combination where they can lose out and Palmview, something like that. It's not going to happen, though. Right. Sharyland's in. So, but yeah, Economides looks pretty good for that 4th spot. They would have to pretty much lose out to not get it, with Juarez-Lincoln still having to play Donna in week 10. So Economides with that win, they're looking pretty good, but it's still going to be about a few weeks before they can clinch. Well,
of course, the big week that comes up in this district is now week 9, and the big games that are coming up include Edinburgh North taking on Sharyland and Donna at Economides. When you look ahead to those weeks, Joe, I mean, what are your thoughts? Because that's basically it for big games for the big teams in that district.
Well, I know Edinburgh North has circled this game saying this is going to be our true test. You know, they've relied on that defense and their style of offense to win their football games. They've had a terrific year, but they really want to measure themselves against Sharyland, so that's a big matchup there. For the Donna team, I think that they're going to take out some vengeance, if you will, and they're going to get well and take on an Edinburgh Economides team that did everything they could to give that game away last night and ended up winning it. You know, again, it's a terrific season for them, but this week 9 is, I think, the measuring stick for Edinburgh North is the biggest game I circle there, is what they're going to be looking like.
You heard Sharyland's Estefan Castillo say that he thought maybe Edinburgh Economides was a bigger game for Sharyland than Donna was, just because of the fact that they had to come from behind. Donna and Economides, they're kind of similar in the way they run the ball a lot. Of course, it's slot T versus, you know, a regular T. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
Well, that's obviously we've still got about a week to get there, but Donna just does, I mean, Donna's just bigger. Donna has more experience. Donna does pretty much everything it wants to do really, really well. They just couldn't stop Sharyland. I don't think anybody's really done that this year. So, you know, we're still a week away, but right now I would take Donna in that. I don't think it's going to be losing two big games like that. They're probably want 2nd place, and they want that 1-loss season at this point.
All right, well, when we come back on Sunday Sports Extra, we're going to talk about District 31 5A and the Tinaco Bowl, and, of course, Mac High with their big comeback this last week over San Benito. It was a week for comebacks. We'll talk about it when we come back.